Don't be scared of that repo. Repos don't mean
We're starting off like this? Okay, all right.
I've had 3 repos. They'll finance you every single time, babe. That is not real.
We ain't even made it 30 seconds. She said she had 3 repos and they will finance you every time. I'm going to save it for now. I want to see where we're going with this.
That is a matrix fucking setup. They make you think that all these things are inaccessible if this stuff happens, but it's not fucking true. Get that car, make the payment until you can't anymore, let them fucking take it, stock up for 6 months, take a bus, go buy another car. Just like that. Just like that. After my most recent repo, my credit actually went up like 80 points. And it never went back down. Like, what? I'm like, all right, this shit ain't real. Don't be scared of that repo.
And it says here on the screen, car repossessions are just simulated punishments. Okay, this one might actually take the cake. I've heard some crazy stuff online. Then she says, the system needs you back in debt, which I would agree. They would love to keep y'all in debt. So they'll always refinance you. Shame is the real trap. I'm not really sure. Is she on the side of the repossessions? The bank? I'm gonna just say this plainly, y'all. Repossessions are a consequence of you not making your monthly payments on time. Some people may see that as a punishment. Some people may see it as a business transaction because that's all that this is. When you agree and sign on the dotted line for your vehicle, you are saying that you were going to make your monthly payments. And they're going to sell it on the market for as much as they can to try to cover the debt that is left over on that loan that you owe. And I don't know, but I feel like if you're okay with your car being repossessed over and over and over, your credit might not be that good. Your credit might take a hit. She's saying it didn't. And if it didn't take a hit, maybe when they put her car up for auction and they sold it back on the market, they were able to cover a lot of her debt. But I have seen this go the other way, where a lot of people who have negative equity in their car get repoed and they owe money and it's showing up on their credit report. And don't get me wrong, I'm glad that that wasn't the case for her, but by no means would I advocate for repossession and say, yeah, don't worry about it. No, worry. Anything that can reflect negatively on your credit report, if you need credit, worry about it. Why? Because you will be the one with the high interest. And high interest makes it hard to pay off things and also increases your monthly payment. So why would you want that? You know what I'm saying? Going forward for the future. And just forget if you're trying to do other things like get a house, or maybe you're even just trying to apply for an apartment. Let me go to these comments. I need to see if y'all are agreeing with her. This is just a interesting video. Okay. And her name on TikTok is SoCal Matrix Exposed. All right. This comment here says, then you're stuck in a piece of junk high interest loop. Which is what I was just saying. You'll overpay for the car at a really high interest rate. They front load all the interest. Your first 12 months of payments is almost all interest. They get their money. Then when they take the car back, they sell it to some other poor soul. And what's interesting is this topic was brought up on my other channel that if you ain't subscribed to, by the way, what you waiting on? But in that video, I was discussing how people were saying when you have bad credit or if you're poor, you don't have the option to just go get a used car because the used cars are going to be even more expensive than the newer cars. And I thought about that and had a conversation with somebody about it yesterday. What was brought up in that conversation was essentially this. If you give somebody that doesn't have the money to pay for a car that is expensive. And like this commenter said, they're front loading all that interest. Somebody who really can't afford that car is just going to be paying interest to the bank. They have not paid the principal for the car. So in the event that the car needs to get repoed, you ain't really make that much payments towards it, depending on how long you had the car, that is, and what the car is actually worth. But the part that was pointed out to me is Symone. They're using newer cars to do this because it's easier to put that newer car on the market and get more money for it than to have, say, a 10-year-old car and pretty much get another sucker in that 10-year-old car. People will likely go for that newer car. You can get somebody else who is not good with money, who likely is not going to be able to pay that loan off, and put them in it and do the same thing and rinse and repeat, essentially just getting the most out of that car as you can on the market with as many people as possible. Do you know how much money the banks would make doing that over and over and over if they had one person in that car, and they had somebody else in the car and somebody else in the car, and all 3 of those were repos? They just made a bunch of interest off a bunch of people because the car is newer. And they're not going to qualify for anything lower or anything cheaper. That's wild. And someone here says, my uncle subscribes to this method, car after car, repo after repo. And someone is always there to just keep financing new cars for him, though. Who is financing these cars? And why? Is it the interest? The bill collectors are calling me and other family members like, Why do you have my number? I'm not part of this. Nah, don't put my number on there. You on your own. Are y'all really doing this? Comment down below. Do y'all know someone who is, or are you? The comment underneath this says, my best friend from high school must have put my name down for their car as a reference. They called me, asked, where is he? Said I haven't talked to him in a couple of years, so I have zero clue. Then my husband gets a call from the same person. They are researching hard to find out where my friend was. Girl, not paying you, that's what? Was she ducking the bank? And I want to point this one out. Someone here is saying they will absolutely finance you, but you do get punished with a high interest rate. Are you okay with a high interest rate? People who have a good credit score aren't getting high interest rates generally, right? Y'all start creeping up to that 14, 15, 16, 19%. Them car payments start to get high, y'all. Those APRs on that car are driving up the monthly payment. Then this is where you hear a lot of people saying, oh, my car note is so high. Are y'all the same people who are saying, ain't nothing wrong with a repo? Because if so, I could understand why you're saying your car payment is high. I bet it is.
Just say that you're privileged and your parents bought you your first car and you've never had to buy a used car.
So now she's replying to a comment that says, finance you at 35%. I've seen some people in the 20s before. It's an ugly sight to see, but it happens.
Just say that you're privileged and your parents bought you your first car and you've never had to buy a used car at a high interest rate to start your credit off. Not everyone gets to start off life ahead of everyone else like you did.
Wait, why did she automatically assume that he came from a rich family and he had a head start and all these things? And I'll say as somebody who didn't have any of the things that she is talking about. Definitely didn't have no 35% though. Whoa, 35? Granted, I understand she's just saying, hey, a lot of us did not have the proper setup to have a low interest rate. I get where she's coming from with that. I'm one of them people. I feel you. But she don't look like an 18-year-old, 19-year-old woman. You said you done went through 3 repos. At this point in time, I feel like you've had some time to learn and possibly had a chance to better understand money and how car repossessions work, the banking system, how money works, financial literacy, all of that at your fingertips at this point. And it seems more to me like someone choosing repossession and saying, hey, there's nothing wrong with it. I'm going to keep doing it. And in that case, you get what you get, right? And I'm not mad that she's choosing this. I'm just saying she seems cool with it. And one thing that I notice is a lot of the time when people are having these conversations, we always go back to the beginning. We always go back to when I was 18, nobody gave me nothing. Well, me either. And the reason I'm bringing that up is because a lot of people say that to other people, and the very people you're saying it to probably went through something very similar to you, but you do have a choice in how your life goes and the decisions that you make. For all my folks out there who are 18, 19, 20-year-old, who are not set up to have these good interest rates that she's talking about, that is a problem that a lot of people face. Typically, when they get their first car, there are things that you can start to do, like building your credit up, understanding credit utilization, how much you should be using, when you should be paying it back off, not just making minimum payments and saying, oh, I paid my bills on time. That's not the right thing to do if you really want to build credit. Understanding your credit cycle, when it starts, when it ends. Because honestly, the interest rates a lot of the times that we are given are a reflection of our credit score. So yeah, we can blame our mom and dad and be like, yeah, they didn't set me up when I was 18. But for how long? How long are you going to say it's somebody else's fault until you start to do something to change it? If you have the opportunity to change it. And I don't know her situation, and I don't know yours either. But what I'm saying is sometimes we do have the power to do things and we still choose not to. We don't want to get financially educated to understand these things. And we'll just say, yeah, repo's okay. Well, I guess you're saying high interest rates are okay too, if that is the reality you have accepted for yourself. At some point, it's not about privilege. At some point, this is honestly about you paying your bills and you being responsible with money. And I also want to say, for anybody out there that's watching this, I don't want you to get the assumption you have to get a high APR on a car because you don't have any credit. I advise people to shop around different car dealerships. See what you will be offered. If you go to one car dealership and you ain't looked at no other cars, you only looked at one car and you're like, hey, this is what they're going to give me, and you just sign on the dotted line, you haven't done your due diligence. You should be shopping around for the lowest APR you can get on your vehicle. And there are also better ways to build your credit, like getting a small credit card and only spending around $100 on it max if your credit limit is $1,000. That's helping you keep the card credit utilization low and showing the bank that you don't max out all your credit cards and you pay it off. You do not have to be privileged to be able to make good choices.
I think we could all recognize that the economy fluctuates pretty regularly in this country.
So she's replying to a comment that says, maybe just make the payments. To be fair, this is a good good comment.
Some of us were booted out of our family structures very young and don't have a fallback in case something happens, like an economical fluctuation that tanks us. And some of us have to have other methods to make it through life. You always want to make the payments and keep the car forever, but sometimes we don't all keep a job for 10 years. We didn't all go to college for a degree. You know what I mean? Like, there are things that not everyone's lifestyle is the same.
Right.
So all I'm saying is don't hold shame about it. The same shame you're trying to cast onto me.
The comment is, maybe just make the payments. And she said, the economy fluctuates, which is true. And you have to find other methods to make it through life. What are we talking about? Are we talking about the same thing, or is it just me? And I understand, she said, everyone doesn't work a job for 10 years. The point that I think I'm trying to get to here is, in order to afford your car payment, if you do not own your car, you need income to pay the bank. So you don't have to work somewhere 10 years, but you need to work somewhere in order to pay your car payment. If you're getting repoed, there might need to be a conversation about the income coming in. Maybe it's not enough. And I agree, everybody's path is not college. Everybody is not given help from people, and I understand. But at what point in your life does this become a conversation that you consider and ask yourself, why do I keep getting repoed for not making my car payments? Do I need to reevaluate my life? And I'm being honest, y'all. 3 repos is a lot. And it's not to shame anybody that's ever fell on hard times, because I understand people do. When you see something happen repeatedly, there's typically a pattern. There's usually a deeper issue at hand. It could be financial literacy. It could be that you just don't make enough money. It could be both. Honestly, what is there really to say if somebody doesn't see a problem with their cars being repossessed over and over, and they actually don't mind paying the high interest? They've kind of accepted it like, hey, it's a way of life. At that point, it's like, if you like it, I love it. Like, what is there to say? And I know a lot of y'all are going to be in the comments like, why doesn't she just get a car she can afford? A lot of people don't know how to save to get a car they can afford. And being that she sees nothing wrong with the repo and the whole system, and she just sees it like, yeah, they'll finance me for another car. I'll just hop in another car. Why would she save? This is why I said this is probably a deeper issue. This is why financial literacy and having financial education is important. Now, she's replying to another comment here that says, capitalistic shame. Loop, you need a car to survive this simulation. They will shame you for how you got it, okay? Subprime loans, used cars, credit scores. It's all by design. This is interesting. All right, I'm trying to be open because I'm truly trying to understand the perspective of people who think like this. Now, she's replying to a comment at the bottom that says, I know she's paying $700 a month for 84 months on a 2001 Honda Civic base model. Now, I don't think that's the case, because it seemed like she was getting into the new stuff. Because how she get repossessed 3 times and she in the 2001? I don't know. I don't believe it. She might get repossessed again. They would not want to take a chance on repoing a 2001 when they could repo a 2023, a 2024, 25. They can put that back on the market and get somebody else. You see what I'm saying? Just like we were talking about earlier. So she's getting repoed. I think she's getting repoed in them new cars. But y'all let me know.
But if you try to buy that same 2001 Honda Civic base model on Facebook Marketplace right now, it's going to run you about $3,000. Those little cars are not $500 to $1,000 like they used to be.
Honestly, if it was $3,000, that's still good. I don't care. Look, if you've been getting it out the mud since you was 18, I love that for you. You've been on your own. You've been having to figure it out. That's great. You've been working a job. Likely within 10 years, you could save $3,000. Yeah. But I didn't say it was going to be fun and you wasn't going to have to delay some gratification and go without things that you might want to do. In the meantime, I'm just saying it's likely possible, right? I also can't speak to what condition that car will be in. It might need a lot of maintenance. Who knows? It's the luck of the draw.
Car purchasing is a completely different game than it was even 5 years ago. I've had to provide for myself since I was a teenager. I used my credit early, and that's why I know so much about financing cars. I also used to sell cars. So I learned the ins and outs of the game. People just don't like my ideas because you guys are still holding the shame that people try to put onto you for these types of situations. But that's just how the game is set up. They don't want you to know that there's loopholes. They don't want you to know that none of this shit really means anything. Because at the end of the day, here in America, if you are not in a dense city with really good public transportation, you need a car. You need a car to get to work so you could pay your bills, so you could pay for rent. How are you going to get that car? You're not going to have money. You don't have a job unless you have someone else to support you, which most of us don't have that.
You don't have money because you don't have a job and you need a job. I'm so confused. I don't know if she's talking about herself when she was younger or if she's talking about herself now. But here's another thing. Once you get the job, even if you got the job to help you pay for the car, you got to pay for the car. You can't get the job and not pay for the car. So you got to make the best choice possible when it comes to selecting the car. Even though, yes, you may not have cash to just buy the car. You might not even have help. You might not have a cosigner. But when you get that money, make the payment, because you could lose your job because you can't get to the job to pay for the car. Do y'all get what I'm saying? Priorities. If you have a car payment and no job, that's where it's going to get sticky for you. And why would you go out and get a car with no job? And I've seen people do that. I don't understand that. They're like, yeah, I'm about to go get a new car note and I'm moving to another city and I quit my job. I don't know why y'all be doing that. And it be the young folks too. Head scratching moment. Unless you have money saved every month to go towards your car payment, what's the thought process behind that? It's almost like asking to be repoed. Do you think they're just going to let you ride around in a car and do whatever you want and not pay them their money? They don't care about you that much. They just want to make money off of you if we just keeping it a buck. So again, this goes back to financial literacy. It's just not making sense.
You basically have two options when you're buying cars. If you buy a used car, you need to budget for repairs because they're going to happen. Used car rates are always going to be higher. New cars are really the way to go, but most people you can't get finance for a new car until you have a strong enough credit to do so. So for people like me who started out young, we had to purchase a used car first at an inflated interest rate a couple times.
No, I'm not going for that. A couple times. A couple times. A lot of y'all are using whatever happened 10, 20 years ago as an excuse. We got to keep it a buck. There has been no growth. We have got older. And there's been a lack of maturity. And I'm just generally speaking, overall, I'm not saying this towards her, overall, as we got older, we ended up getting more access to technology, information online that wasn't there before. Even in a 10-year time frame, so much information has been put online for free that we can learn from and use to our advantage. The question is then, why did you have to purchase a couple of cars at an inflated interest rate when you were young? We keep saying, I had to do it. No, let's be honest. We do have choices. A lot of the time. They're probably not the choices we want to do. If we're being totally honest, a lot of us ain't have to do nothing. We didn't have to do nothing. We did what we wanted to do. Now, I don't know what she did. I don't know her situation. But I say this. If the first car had a high APR and you were young, and the second car had a high APR and you were older than when you got the first car, and you got repoed, and it seems like you got repoed multiple times, could it be possible that that second car APR was high because you got repoed too? Could it be that from the time you got the first car to the time where you got the second car, there were no financial changes? Your credit score didn't go up. You weren't making good financial decisions to help it go up. Could that be the case? Because why would the first two car loans be high? I got 2 car loans before. My first one was the absolute worst. It was in the teens. Again, no cosigner, no help. I don't come from a rich family, and nobody helped me either. That was my first car I ever drove. My second car, I bet you that interest rate was low. Why? Because I was building good credit history. Guess what? I was still young. Ended up getting that car maybe 3 years later. I only had 2 cars in my whole life. 2. The second one that I ever bought, I'm still driving to this day, and I'm 32. So when we out here saying a couple times, why? And another thing I want to talk about real quick is a lot of us get a car, sometimes even pay it off. And guess what happens? You go get another car. Now you got another car loan. Now you're like, oh, I got to make payments. Life happens. Everybody didn't go to college. Everybody didn't get help. Now, I honestly mean it. Some of y'all are better off getting that one car, paying it off and being done. And guess what? Now you have money that you can save every month. Life is breezy with no car note. I'm telling you, come to the other side. But can you imagine getting car note after car note, repo after repo, and not doing things to help build your credit up? What do you expect? Honestly.
An inflated interest rate a couple times. Have a few paid off autos before I was able to qualify for a new car. And I bought my first new car when I was 29. That's how long it took me. But if you try to buy that same 2001 Honda Civic base model on Facebook,
look. And then she said she bought her first new car when she was 29. What about all the other cars? And then also, what about savings? And then also, even though $3,000 sounds like a lot now on Facebook Market or wherever you go get a car that's used, I agree. But if you have saved money, you could go get that and it's still cheaper than getting a car loan. Do you see what I'm saying? There's a lot of options, but you got to be proactive, not reactive. And let's go over to the comments. Someone here says, Don't get repos or don't finance. Easy peasy. And it could be so simple, right? The don't get the repos essentially saying just pay your bill. And then, or just pay it cash. But that part right there involves delayed gratification. It involves budgeting, saving. How many people finna do that? Even if it was $3,000, they're not finna do it. And someone here says, no one shamed me for my used car. I've only been congratulated. And that's the thing. Who cares anyway what anybody thinks? You're the one making the payment. They're not helping you pay anything. And I want to make this clear. There is no shame behind getting a loan for a car. Let's be honest. How many people have $20,000, $30,000 to cough up for a car right now? Not many people, especially not the young folks. I didn't have it either. And I think that she might be misunderstanding what people are trying to tell her. It's not the fact that you got the car loan. It's the fact that you're simply not making the car payments. And you might have got a car note that's a little bit too expensive, which is leading to these multiple repos. Maybe even some bad financial decisions along with all of that. And I don't think that's shaming anyone by pointing out the obvious, especially when you put it all on the internet and saying, hey, I had 3 repos and they're going to refinance me again. Don't worry about it. For some of y'all, this is just a conversation because your mind is made up. And again, if you like it, we love it. But I need to know what you all think about this one. Do y'all think that repos really aren't a big deal? Because I have heard many people say this. It's actually kind of scary, but intriguing at the same time because I can't quite wrap my mind around the logic. But I love to hear the thought process. Comment down below, have you ever been repoed? Do you know somebody who has been repoed? Let me know, but we got to start making better decisions today in order to have a better future.